All right, thank you all. We appreciate everyone's patience trying to get all the electronics worked out. I'd like to call to order this Henderson County Board of Education meeting. This is a special meeting. Today is April the 27th, 2020. And the first item of business is to approve the minutes from the prior meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those, and are there any changes?
I make a motion we accept the minutes as presented, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Tracy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. The second part is, excuse me, is a second joint meeting of the Henderson County Board of Education and the Superintendent Screening Committee. And Mr. Quinn, I believe that's you.
Thank you, Miss Lisa.
You're quite welcome.
Just want to say in front of the board and to the screening committee, to the Henderson County Board of Education, you ought to be very proud of this group. They took your charge very seriously. They were sincere in everything they did. They were very professional. This is a great group to work with. So I think you as a board should be very proud of what they have done and the hard work they have accomplished up to this point. So the charge you gave them was to maintain the confidentiality of these applicants, and as far as I know, that has been done. And a lot of times that's not the case. So it's hard to sometimes keep things a secret, but I think they've done a good job with that. Your next charge was to turn over all the applicants to you tonight. You're going to hear from the screening committee when we go into executive session, their recommendations. And your charge was to recommend 2 to 6 candidates, and they have narrowed it down to within that frame, and they will share with you again in a few moments who those candidates are. They will be recommending those applicants in alphabetical order. And the criteria that you chose, which would have been in your packet if I brought it, and the one that Ms. Robin is running off right now, you asked them to look at candidates that were, the candidates were innovative and a motivational leader with strong proven leadership and a record of improving student achievement, that they had administrative experience and be an instructional leader who is committed to college and career readiness, have effective people skills, be curriculum orientated, as well as be visible in the community, possess strong morals and ethics, have a knowledge in budgeting, school finances, buildings and grounds, as strategic planning was required, and a working knowledge of the Kentucky education system was desirable. So that's the criteria they use to select these candidates or narrow those recommendations down to the board tonight. So you'll be hearing from the committee here in just a few moments when we go into executive session who those candidates are. So again, I just want to say to the public as well as the board, this was a great committee to work with that did their job and did it well.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn, and thank you all to the committee members. We know this has been a challenging time for everyone, and everyone has had another job to do besides working on this screening committee. And I know you all have not been able to work personally, but I understand that you all have come together as a team very well. So we really appreciate it, and from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much. Mr. Quinn, is there anything you need to add before I move on to new business?
No, ma'am. I'll talk more when we get into executive session.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to new business, the first item is a discussion regarding the superintendent selection timeline. We had a timeline to have a new superintendent named by May 18th. I know we're going to have to work on getting some interviews set up, and that May 18th deadline. I don't know, board members, do you think that that's still a possibility, or we need to move this forward? Tracy, Mike, your comments?
My only comment is that considering what's going on with regards to this COVID-19 travel bans, closure of workplaces, and social distancing, is that the scheduling of interviews is going to be pretty creative.
I agree.
Depending on who and where they're coming from. So my only comment is that we look at the candidates, determine how many interviews that we're going to set up and what kind of scheduling, whether we want to have 1 a week, 2 a week, 3 a week, depending on the number of candidates that are going to be interviewed, and then back into the final date, because we did discuss with Morgana in regards to transition period, and she's flexible, whether it's by the end of June, July, August, whatever, that there'd be a transition. But I would anticipate us having one that would begin working here July 1st, which is obviously the fiscal year that we're going to have beginning July 1st, so that we could be in place, have a superintendent in place with the various planning that's going to have to go on with regards to the unknown school schedule that may start next year.
Ms. Tracy, you have a comment on this?
No, I think as far as setting up the interviews, I think once we, find out how many candidates we have, hopefully if that comes in a situation like this, have the next one come in, an hour and a half later.
Later, right, right. Right. Yep, I agree. Mr. Kirk, your thoughts?
The same.
Same. Wes, anything to add? I don't see that we have to have a, we've got action required behind this adjustment of superintendent selection timeline. Is that something, Ms. Beth, that we can table that discussion or table that timeline until we have some interviews?
Absolutely. We put it on because this is a special meeting. We detailed the agenda, so if
Correct.
the board needed to take action, they could.
Correct.
But there's no requirement that you have to take action tonight.
Okay. So can I take the action that we vote to table this timeline until we have a firm date? Would that be something we need to take a vote on, or just?
I don't even know that you have to take that action.
Okay.
You know, just
We're all in agreement,
just
so.
noting in the minutes that the board discussed it, and that in light of the present circumstances, the timeline may be adjusted, and just we
Right.
can leave it at that.
Timeline will be adjusted with the idea that we
Needed.
still would like to have a superintendent in place by July 1. Okay. So noted, Ms. Robin. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so moving on to the executive session, and those of you who are joining us publicly, we appreciate your attendance and listening to us. We are allowed to go into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810F for discussions which might lead to the appointment of an individual employee. So thank you all for joining us, and be sure. Yes, ma'am.
Before we go into executive session,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to actually put out there that we speak to Morgana about definitely a transition period, given all the changes that are going on, the COVID-19 NTI situation. I definitely want to put it out there that we are going to discuss with her the possibility of staying and how long she can stay. And I mean, even though we could have the superintendent there by July 1, her still being there to help with all these unknown things and dates that have been pushed back that would have been taken care of and done before she left, things
Correct.
that, so I don't know, I just wanted to
That's
make
something
sure
for us to
that
think
was.
about. Yes, ma'am.
out
Mr.
there.
Mike, did you have a comment on there?
Oh, we already did that with her. She said she would stay as
I
long
wasn't
as it
sure,
would take
yeah,
to
I
get.
wasn't
Did.
sure if you were just saying what, but yes,
Right.
that's why I was like hesitant, and then, so, yes.
Yes, that's totally fine. As long as we all understand that and we all want
Maybe
to
you
work
can
on
just
that.
send her an email that part of the discussion tonight was that there needs to be a transition period, and if she's flexible with her schedule, and then she would comment again that she's
Right.
willing to stay
I can
be involved as long, once we name a superintendent.
I can send that to her.
Thank you.
As board chair, I can send that message to her requesting that be part of our further discussion. Is that okay for everybody?
And I know, like Mike said, we can talk about this, but it wouldn't be
Whole. Yes, correct. I totally agree. It has to do with what's going on in the world and this COVID-19 and the flux that it's put us in. So yes. Yes, sir.
Could we ask Beth to look into what our options are for
Yes.
because Morgana is on a contract, so how could we hire someone? What would we need to do as far as a consultant, a job description, or hire them on staff and then
I can
move them
include.
around after the
I can
transition?
include that in my request to Ms. Morgana and also copy Beth and ask her to look into the details of that.
Let's give them as much lead time so that we can.
Yes, I totally
that.
agree.
Okay.
Totally agree. Kirk, Wes, you got anything to add? Okay, cool. All right, we ready to go into executive session? Anyone else have a comment? No? Okay. I need a motion to go into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810F for discussions which might lead to the appointment of an individual employee. Can I have that motion, please?
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kirk. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We're in executive session.